in 10, I want to keep it in 10 minutes. I'm breaking it up into 3 sections. I'm going to use these 3 little graphics to help me remember which parts I'm up to. So the core skills, there's a set of core skills that I think we really need to work on. That's the skills that you need just to keep these things running, and other devices as well. And we can identify where you sit in that and build upon your skill set there. Looking at the practical things that we can use for the learning, so that's the pedagogy part of it, and then the sharing. We want to create a culture of sharing good practice amongst ourselves. So I'm going to try and break up that 10 minutes into those 3 sections. So let's have a look at some core skills. Initially, I was going to talk about some of the things to do with the portal, the new portals, but it's pretty clear to me at the moment that we're all over the place with different versions of our systems. So we really need to get our systems running nice and smoothly first before we start talking about anything else that interacts with those systems. So you may have experienced that beach ball of death from time to time. That can be, like, if you're in the middle of teaching, that can be a real stressful thing to have occur. Those kinds of things, the symptoms that you will experience when you get that are slow response times and just things running really slow, or maybe just completely frozen and not going anywhere from that. That can be caused from low memory running on the computer. So the startup disk itself, the hard drive that's inside, could be full or getting full. Could be overheated, or it could just be a hardware failure at worst. So the solution to that would be to restart the computer. That would be always the first thing to do. Restart the computer. On the MacBook, it doesn't take very long to do that, so it's better to take the minute to restart the computer than it is to sit and wait for probably more than that and continually wait for that thing. So restart the computer. If it's hot, just maybe you might have to let it rest for a little bit, especially in the weather that we're having at the moment. And if you think it's none of those things and it's a hardware failure, then that goes on the ICT help desk and we can get it covered under warranty usually. So yeah, restart is probably the thing. Preventative things that you can do to try and avoid that is not having all the apps running on your MacBook. In fact, this is one of the most common things. At the moment, you can see down the bottom here, I've got Excel running, QuickTime Player running, I've got a sticky note app running, and that's the only 3 apps that are running. Finder is always running, that just controls our computer. So I've got 3, well, I've actually got another browser there open as well, so I've got 4 apps running at the moment, and that should be pretty good. But if you're not pressing Command and Q, or going up to the menu and choosing Quit, if you're not doing that and you're only hitting the red dot, you're not closing the application and it's still running. So I've seen computers where nearly every single app that's on the dock is actually running, and that would be the #1 reason why you're getting the beach ball of death. So try getting into the habit of Command and Q to quit the program altogether. The reason it doesn't close it when you press the red dot, the Mac wants to be ready to jump into action for you to open another Word document or another movie file by already having the application running and not having to load that application every time. So it keeps it running in the background. But if you're done with it, quit it, and you should be a lot better. Another preventative action that you can take is to back up your MacBook. And I'm going to talk about that in the next episode. But if there's a volunteer out there that wants to be the demo of that next week, all you need is like a new hard drive or one that we're able to format wipe completely. So just a new external hard drive, and I can show you how easy the time machine function on the MacBook is. And basically what it means is if that was to die right now, I take my hard drive, I plug it into a new device, and it will clone my previous device straight away. And it doesn't just take my files, it takes all my settings, the apps that I've loaded on there, all that stuff that you really don't want to have to go through again, it puts it all back on there with very little tech knowledge required. You just basically plug it in and press help me, and it's good. It kind of looks like that from up the top. You access it from way up the top here. There's a little like a clock with a backward arrow, and when I click that, it actually brings up a window, and I can scroll back in time to a time when things were better, and I can choose that one, and it'll say, yeah, okay, let's go with that. So I'll talk to you more about that, but if there's, Liz, are you keen?
Yep.
And if you can get yourself a hard drive for me by next week, then yeah, I'll demo with Liz so you can go ahead and do that. That'll be a good thing to do before we update our system. If the system goes down while you're in the middle of that Sierra update, then at least we know we've backed it up and we're safe. So yeah, Sierra is the latest version of your operating system, and we're about to be ready to move to that. Format's just doing some last-minute testing to make sure our printers will still work and connections to other things like the media drive will still be okay before we go en masse to Sierra. But the few staff that have done it already haven't experienced any problems. If you have, let me know, but I personally haven't, and the people I've talked to so far haven't. So it looks like it's going to be okay, but we've got a bit of time to get ourselves prepared for that before we actually jump into it. I will come around, once I've got just devices all sorted out, I'm going to come around to all the teachers, apart from the new people, which I've already done, and just look at the serial number on your MacBook and check that against my register, because somewhere along the last couple of years it was highlighted when certain iPads went for a walk last year, and the police asked me for the serial number, and the serial number didn't match the devices that were gone. So that was a bit embarrassing. So I'd rather take this time to do a little bit of an audit of that. I won't even need you at all. I just need to look at the underside of your MacBook and I'll write it down. And that should be next week, I'd say. Okay, so looking at some pedagogy, I think one of the easiest places to start here would be with life. It's been around for a while now, and anybody who's had anything to do with it knows there was a dark time, and we've moved out of that now and moving forward. And Life version 2 is a lot more stable, and it has a lot more functionality than it ever did. And it's also a lot more user-friendly, I believe. So it doesn't take a lot of skill to get started on Life. There's endless options of what you can create. You can basically make a whole website inside Life, but it only takes one try at entering in one little block, and once you've got that skill, you can move on from there. It's like a building process. So I would encourage you, if we had more time, I like the approach that the garden people took with giving you some time to have a go at that. But I don't have time today to do that, but in the future I might allocate a little bit of time to have a crack at that while we're here so we can troubleshoot together. But have a go, get on Life if you haven't before. Go to, I think inside, if I go up here, inside the staff room, I've created a practice space here. If you go into that practice space, it's just blank. It's a safe zone. Nobody's going to judge you there. Just put a cell in, type something in there. Maybe you want to play around with adding a YouTube or something like that, depending on your skill set. Just have a go, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we're at with that, and we can then look at supporting you to build on that skill depending on where you're up to, rather than do a whole blanket approach to everything. Yeah, have a go at that, logging in. Students logging into Life, the easiest way to get them to go there, and there is a slight change because of the new portals, as the sixes are experiencing at the moment. If they have no other way of getting to the new school portal, just send them to the public website, to the community access page, and then they can click on student portal. But they will need to know their full email address. They'll need to know, like for me, for one student, it might be lcovey@mybce.catholic.edu.au.
And
so
they have to be careful, like when you go onto the public webpage, you can just scroll straight down and hit school portal, but that'll still take them to the old portal.
yeah, we're actually going to,
have to go through
that link will be updated tomorrow. We'll get Liam to do that tomorrow. But the main links, the big ones in the middle of the screen are updated already. So if they go to that and put their full email. So basically, if you haven't spent some time in the classroom making sure that is all ironed out before it goes home, that's going to make you're going to have less responses from parents stressing out about whatever. So just spend some time. There's absolutely no rush to get in there and do it. If you've got a cohort of kids that have experienced that before, that's going to be a lot easier for you. But just have a go. See if you can get a kid to sign in. and see what happens at your end. It might be crystal clean, easy process, or it might be riddled with problems. So just feed me back on that. All right, so sharing. The last part, I'd like to be getting some of your creations, ideas, things that you've done with the students, and bringing them back to the staff so we can see what's happening. This time, though, I just thought I'd give you a look at some of the potential of what we can do with life. This is one of the ones that I had done last year, and it's the page Kind is a blog page, and the blog page it allows you a semi-informal way, I should say, of the students being able to record in there what it is that they've been learning about and how they're going with that. So down the right-hand side, this is inside maths, down the right-hand side are different topics that they've been learning about and the learning attention success criteria. When I had time, I put a little exemplar of what that might look like in there. That was a bit time-consuming. But then down here, this one's looking at their multiplication tables. So Halea had multiple opportunities here to practice that, and over time she could really see that she had progressed with that particular times table and the way that she was thinking. But it wasn't just worksheets. She also had little sound bites which she'd recorded of herself reciting the thing and having peer tests with other students. And over time, she was able to explain that she was actually getting quite fluent with her times table. So we tracked that on the success criteria at the top. So that was just one little thing that we did. It actually took a fair bit of work to set up, and the people that I've worked with so far to set these up know that. But once you've set it up, it's actually a really powerful tool. For the little kids, you can. I know the preppies had done video recordings of them counting and saying letters, measuring sticks and things like that. YouTube channel for every year level has their own YouTube channel, and I can show you how to do that safely so it's not all out in the public. But yeah, if you're not sure, just start asking me. We can sit down and we can work out some skills there. And that's it. Just to let you know though, we will be mentioning at Thursday's parent partnership night about getting students logged in. We'll be showing them the different ways of digital communication with class emails, the classroom blogs and Life. So I will be explaining that we're all at different places with that, but just so that you know, over the course of this year, you might start receiving some questions about that and how can I access that and what's on there and that kind of question. So I guess I'm trying to get in early for you to say, let's go with that this year and let's see if we can create a really good culture of the parents wanting to know what's going on in the classroom. But if you need support with that, start asking, and I'm more than happy to spend whatever time we need to make that happen. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Matt.